eternal dream tonight. Future that will make it right. Ending aging, ending pain. Life forever we will gain. We're immortalists, we see hope. Living longer is our scope. In the future, hold on tight. Science leads us into light. We believe in a world so red. Disease and death will leave this land. Tech will conquer all we see. Join us in immortality. Problems solved by minds so bright. Breaking through the darkest night. History shows we can achieve. With faith in tech, we believe. Aging fades and youth returns. Future glows and passion burns. Impressive strides will make our way. Immortal life begins today. Time won't stop us marching on. In this race we've just begun. Watch us live, watch us thrive. In this dream we come alive. We're immortalists, we see hope. Living longer is our scope. In the future, hold on tight. Science leads us into light. We believe in a world so bad. Disease and death will leave this land. Tech will conquer all we see. Join us in immortality. We believe in a world so bad. Disease and death will leave this land. Tech will conquer all we see. Join us in immortality. Join us in immortality. Join us in immortality. Problems solved by minds so bright. Breaking through the darkest night. History shows we can achieve. With faith in tech, we believe. Problems solved by minds so bright. Breaking through the darkest night. History shows we can achieve. With faith in tech, we believe. Join us in immortality. Join us in immortality. Faith in tech, we believe.
Welcome. Welcome to the Church of Perpetual Life. Welcome tonight, January 12th, we are celebrating James Bedford Day. On this date, the city of Hollywood, where we originally were located, has proclaimed that this is now James Bedford Day. The city recognizes this as officially, and we celebrate James Bedford, the first person to be cryopreserved. If you receive the church newsletter, please do share it with all of your friends and family. Well, at least those that you are liking enough to want to live in a healthy and a long time.
Hold on a second.
What happened,
Welcome
Doug?
again and start.
Really? Run the earth again, Doug. Let's take it from there. Welcome to the Church of Perpetual Life. This is our live stream, and today is January the 12th, when we are celebrating James Bedford Day. On this date, the city of Hollywood, where we were originally located, has a proclamation to state that the city recognizes this day to be a celebration of James Bedford, the first person to be cryopreserved. If you receive the church newsletter, please do share that with all of your friends and family. especially those that you like enough to live a long time and be healthy. If you do not currently get this newsletter, please let me know. I'll make sure you get it. Before we begin our program, I'd like to let you know that our regular service for the church this month will be the last Thursday of January. In fact, it will be the last Thursday from now on. So we have changed. Instead of being the fourth Thursday, it will be the last Thursday from January through May. And from January through May, we will be both in person and online. So we'll be hybrid in Zoom and YouTube, except for the month of April when we are online only. This month, we are pleased to have Dr. Joshua Hellman, a Harvard-trained board-certified physician with degrees in biochemistry from the University of Cambridge, and his medical degrees are from Harvard and MIT. Dr. Hellman is an expert in Alzheimer's disease and dementia. We also have Sandy Martin from the Miami Biohacker Expo, and she'll be coming to speak along with a presentation from the world-famous cryonicist, Bill Falloon. All three will be at our event this end of this month on January 30th, the final Thursday in January. I hope you're able to join us then as well. Please mark your calendars for January 30th. Our social hour will be at 6 p.m. and in person will be at 7 p.m. live in person and on Zoom. Please join me now in the recitation of our creed, the Perpetual Life Creed. We believe that all of life is sacred and that we have been given this one life to make unlimited. We believe in our Creator's divine plan for all of humanity to have infinite lifespans in perfect health and eternal joy, rendering death to be optional. By following our prophets, we achieve eternal life, creating a heaven here on earth. We follow Nikolai Fedorov, who taught that the transcendence of the Creator will only be solved when humanity, through our unified efforts, becomes an instrument of universal resuscitation. When the divine word becomes our divine action. And we follow Arthur C. Clarke, who said the only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible. And so we enter each day energized in spirit and empowered by the words of our prophets to live in joy, serving our Creator and all of mankind forever and ever. Our speaker tonight is Ben Best, who is the Secretary and Treasurer of the Church of Perpetual Life, and the founder and creator of this cryonic celebration of James Bedford Day. I've had the honor to work with Ben for a decade now here at Perpetual Life. This is our 10-year anniversary celebrating Bedford Day, and Ben has led this event as well as he is one of our founders at the church. I'd like to share a little bit of Ben's history with you, if I may. First of all, I don't want you to confuse our Ben Best with the famous actor and producer Benjamin Terrell Best. For anyone that's familiar with the movie Land of the Lost, you will see that our Ben Best does not resemble the character Ernie in Land of the Lost at all. No, our Ben Best instead is an icon in the American cryonics movement, and the world movement for that matter. He was president and CEO of the Cryonics Institute, one of the world's largest cryonics organizations, for 9 years between 2003 and 2012. Ben holds undergraduate degrees in pharmacy from the University of British Columbia and a physics and computing science degree and finance from Simon Fraser University in British Columbia, Canada. Ben Best is also certified as a professional registered parliamentarian by the National Association of Parliamentarians, and he currently travels around the world attending age reversal conferences and meeting with researchers working to reverse human aging. Let's welcome Ben Best.
So, I guess we got to get the technical aspects of this ready. So you want me to hit share? Doug, I need your guidance.
Yeah, go ahead and do share screen.
Okay.
That worked. Now start the slideshow, either with the thing at the bottom or the one at, yes,
Did that work?
no.
No.
Well, click on it again. It looked like you were trying to click on it.
No, I
Does your,
clicked on it. I clicked on it.
yeah, do it again from beginning.
Yeah.
Click,
And
make
click
sure you're
from
clicking your,
beginning. That's what I clicked on. From beginning. I
yeah,
just
but
clicked on it.
it's not doing it. Well, yeah, we never figured out why it didn't the last time. Try the one to the right of it that says from current slide. Try that one.
What? Hit escape?
No, right up at the top where you were clicking on from beginning. The one to the right of it, just to the right of it, it says from
Well, I
current
have to go
slide.
back to, I have to hit escape because you're not seeing what I'm seeing.
Okay,
So what now? From current slide?
yes,
How's
just in
that?
case. Now that doesn't do it either.
Oh, it is doing something.
Well, it changes for a second like it's but then it doesn't, nothing happens. So, okay, go ahead and quit from PowerPoint.
Hit escape.
Exit out. File exit. The button, hit the circle at the top, and then close or quit.
Yeah.
You there, Ben?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm seeing edit view.
Yeah, say yes to my request. Click
Okay.
on it. And did you make any changes?
Yeah, that'd be the key.
Okay, Ben, start your screen share. Again.
I'm not even
In the
seeing
Zoom
my,
window, the green button at the bottom.
yeah, I did, but I can't see.
Okay, yes, that's on.
I'm not
Now
sharing the,
open PowerPoint.
I'm not sharing the PowerPoint.
Open PowerPoint. I closed it. You need to open PowerPoint.
Okay.
Now try the slideshow.
From beginning.
Now it's working.
Oh, it's working. All right.
Yeah, so start like we didn't do all that stuff.
What?
Neil just introduced you.
So
So
anyway,
let's welcome Ben Best.
Oh,
okay, so, this.
where did this?
So the outline of my presentation, we're going to remember James Bedford, and I want to update on COVID-19 pandemic and update on cryonics technology, and have a question and answer period at the end of sections 1 and 2 and 3. So January 12th is Bedford Day. It was the first person to be chronically preserved and maintained preservation to the present day. It's been in liquidation for 58 years since 1967. He was a psychology professor. He wrote Robert Enger in June 66 saying he was dying of liver cancer, and he was cryopreserved preserved at the age of 73. He's still being stored by Alcor. He was preserved by Robert Nelson, who was a TV repairman and started the Cryonics Society of California, and he wrote books about his practice. And so that actually the perfusion equipment wasn't ready. James Bedford died a bit before he was expected to, so they they injected a bunch of DMSO into his carotid arteries about 50 to 100 times, but all the bleeding may have resulted in blood replacement with antifreeze. So Robert Nelson, Bedford was not entrusted to Robert Nelson. The family didn't trust Nelson or the Cryonic Society of California. And so all the CSC patients that were under Robert Nelson's purview were perished because of his financial mismanagement and bad judgment. And so by 1979, all the CSC patients had been thawed and buried or cremated, and the loss of all the CSC patients, Chatsworth cryonics disaster, may have been as damaging cryonics as the space shuttle explosion was to space exploration. So he was placed in dry ice for several days before being transferred to liquid nitrogen. He was maintained in liquid nitrogen by his family. Shifted to TransLime in 1976, about a year, but then the family resumed responsibility. He transferred to Alcor in 1982. He's remained there ever since. And examination of his body in 1991 indicated no warming above cryogenic temperatures had occurred in the 24 years. So happy Bedford Day, everyone. So now I'm going to start my update on COVID-19. Now, the World Health Organization in March 11, 2020, declared COVID-19 to be a pandemic. But on May 5th, 2023, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 is no longer a public health emergency. It's currently considered endemic, like influenza. So scientific publications on COVID-19 have decreased, but publications on long COVID have continued to increase. So why am I continuing to report on COVID-19? It's still life-threatening for those with compromised immune systems. Long COVID may be the tip of the iceberg on persistent health effects of COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines. COVID-19 still has dramatic impact for the political environment, but before delving into those subjects, I want to outline the molecular biology of COVID-19. Now, this is similar to what I presented in previous years, but I just want to have people have some context about what I'm talking about. So the virus is a single strand of RNA, and it enters cells and takes over the cell's machinery to manufacture virus proteins. The virus has spike protein with two components, S1 that binds and S2 cell fusion. And the virus binds the host cell ACE2 receptor by receptor binding domain on S1. And the spike protein is the means of gaining entry. Antigens, as you may know, are substances found in viruses, bacteria that cause immune response. So the spike protein antigen is the primary target for COVID-19 mRNA vaccines. All SARS-CoV variants involve modifications of the spike protein. So there's an image of the virus, and it shows the spike proteins on the sphere. And as you see, the receptor binding domain has the S1, which does the attachment, and the S2, which does the insertion after attaching to the ACE2 host receptor on the human cells, in the lung, especially in the beginning, but later on the kidney, heart, intestine, and other organs. So there's that picture of the receptor binding domain S1 binding the ACE2 and the S2 behind it. And ACE2 on the cells required for attachment of virus cell. And there's this also this transmembrane protein SE serine on epithelial cells, which is required to gain entry. So once it gains entry, the S1 floats away and the S2 fuses with the host cell membrane, and the process of S2 fuses with the cell membrane, allowing RNA to visit the cell. So the first variant was after the Wuhan virus. The first variant was an alpha called alpha COVID-19, and the Delta came next, and the Alpha, Beta, and finally Omicron took over in November 2021, has completely replaced all previous variants as the dominant COVID-19 variant. And we talk about basic reproductive rate. You can see the basic reproduction, the R of 0 quantifies how many people infected with an individual will infect other people. And you can see the original Wuhan strain was 2.9, Delta was 5.1, and Omicron is 9.5. So Omicron is much more effective. So what about the vaccines? They replaced the uridine in the original the uridine in the original RNA of the COVID virus with this N1 methyl pseudo uridine, and that gives the spike protein a longer life and reduced immune response, and if and when it's injected. And the mRNA vaccines use lipid nanoparticles, which can cross the blood-brain barrier and placenta, can also be transferred to exosomes for wider distribution. Spike proteins are toxic, capable of binding ACE2 receptors, causing platelet aggregation, thrombosis, and inflammation. In the brain, spike proteins can persist with prion-like properties associated with neurodegeneration. So despite these risks, mRNA vaccines have probably saved millions of lives. So this is reviewing the epitope, and it's just showing the spike protein again. And mRNA vaccines are placed in liposomes for easy interest, and they can be protected by immune system clearance by this PEG glycation. So these liposomes fuse with cell membranes and deliver the RNA, modified RNA, into the cells. And the modified RNA with spike proteins released in the cytoplasm of cells. These are mostly immune cells. Spike proteins are manufactured by the cell, and the spike proteins migrate to the cell surface, causing an antigenic response. And cells can absorb the mod RNA from lipid nanoparticles, and they cause cells to manufacture the COVID-19 virus spikes, and the artificial spikes are displayed on the cells, activating the immune system defenses by T cells and B cells. So in September 22, there was a bivalent booster developed, introduced in the USA against the original Wuhan strain, plus variants of the Omicron virus. The bivalent boosters do not reduce the risk of infection from new Omicron variants, but do offer protection against hospitalization or death from Omicron. And reinfection is now the dominant type of SARS-CoV-2 infection. So the Great Barrington Declaration was three epidemiologists issued a declaration from Great Barrington, Massachusetts, asserting that lockdowns were harming students and businesses, and that protection should be focused on the elderly and persons with compromised immune system. Francis Collins, director of the National Institute of Health, and immediately contacted Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, calling for a quick and devastating published takedown of its premise, and which resulted in this Lancet publication. Donald Trump is named one of the authors of the Great Barrington Declaration, Dr. J. Bhattacharya, to be the new director of the National Institute of Health. Early in 2020, Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, said face masks should be reserved for 6 people and expressed concern that face masks encourage people to touch their face. But in July 2020, he changed his position, saying that surgical face masks should be worn universally. A 2023 Cochrane review of randomized clinical trials concluded that surgical face masks have not been shown to reduce the spread of respiratory viruses. However, a 2024 review based on the United Kingdom's COVID-19 app concluded that a population all wearing N95 masks could reduce the reproductive number by a factor of 9. So long COVID symptoms of acute COVID-19 last from 2 weeks to 12 weeks with very, very severe cases. After 8 weeks of long COVID, the virus is no longer present in the nasal cavity, but viral proteins can be found in many other body tissues. Long COVID is associated with a cluster of symptoms, fatigue, headache, brain fog, insomnia, dizziness. Although there's a simple diagnostic test for COVID-19, there's no diagnostic test for long COVID. Individuals hospitalized for COVID-19 are twice as likely to develop long COVID. There's an abnormally high IgG4 antibodies have been found in people who had 2 or more mRNA viruses. Increased IgG synthesis due to repeated RNA vaccinations can lead to autoimmune disease in some people and immune tolerance to COVID-19 virus protein. In the UK, mortality rates from November 2021 to December 22 were higher among people who had received 3 vaccinations compared to the unvaccinated. So the Pfizer and Moderna mRNA vaccines were the first mRNA vaccines authorized for public usage. The mRNA vaccines caused cell to manufacture SARS-CoV-2 virus spike protein to elicit an immune response. Spike proteins are inflammatory and toxic to cells, whether due to virus infection or vaccination. Lipid nanoparticles carry the mRNA to all organs, even crossing the blood-brain barrier and placental barrier. Vaccine mRNA was modified with the mRNA pseudouridine, as I mentioned earlier, for increased stability. Neurological symptoms and cognitive impairments. Cognitive impairments are features of acute COVID-19 vaccination and long COVID. Acute COVID-19 virus vaccination and long COVID. So vaccine-derived and viral spike protein have been found in humans 6 to 15 months after vaccination or infection in those with long COVID, indicating spike protein is a probable cause of long COVID. The This virus spike protein is a highly persistent pathogenic substance causing inflammation and tissue damage in almost all organ systems. Spike protein can cause prion damage like mad cow disease in the brain. Many immune cells, macrophages loaded with spike proteins, can self-destruct apoptose, releasing exosomes loaded with spike protein. 8 months after a second injection of mRNA spike protein, immune function is lower than in the unvaccinated, resulting in increased risk of cancer and other viral infections. Omicron is rapidly mutating, is less virulent than previous strains, and may have less potential for prion-like misfolding of proteins. So prevention and treatment, physical exercise is anti-inflammatory. History of smoking is a bad idea and worsens COVID-19 outcomes. Fasting and spermidine can increase autophagy, which can degrade spike protein. Nattokinase in fermented soybean potentially degrades spike protein and clot. Melatonin can prevent COVID-19 comorbidities, relief symptoms of long COVID, combination of bromelain, pineapple stems, and acetylcysteine episodes that synergistically attack and degrade the virus spike proteins. Vitamin C, D, and E, zinc, selenium, omega-3 fatty acids can reduce the inflammatory symptoms of COVID-19 and Paxlovid is the most widely used antiviral drug that reduces symptoms of COVID-19. So nattokinase is an enzyme that degrades proteins in general. It can dissolve blood clots and help prevent cardiovascular disease. It can delay lipofuscin accumulation in nematode worms and extend their lifespan. It can prevent progressive atherosclerotic plaques, as suggested to be a safer alternative to statin. A clinical study of nattokinase in patients with acute ischemic stroke has demonstrated neuroprotective effects in patients. And as I mentioned previously, nattokinase potently degrades SARS-CoV-2 by spike protein. And you can get it on Amazon. This shows the product is sold on my Amazon. I buy this regularly and consume it regularly. So any questions about this section?
Yes, thanks, Ben. Let me jump in with a question. Tell me a little bit. You can buy this at Amazon, and when you prepare it, how do you typically, what are you boiling it, making it a cereal? How are you eating it?
No, I just add it to I add it to a bowl of water, and it softens and becomes edible.
Right. Do you spice it up or eat it just like it is? All right, thank you, Ben. Let's move to the next part.
All right. How do I get my screen back?
Oh, Doug's going to bring it right to you.
You
While
need
we're
to
waiting,
do it, Ben.
how do we send
Do
questions?
screen share. Turn your screen share on.
Are we back?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, continue.
Okay, Ben, that's our time for questions on that section. And now we can go forward to the next part.
Yeah,
Okay.
seem to get this working. So not allowing me to proceed. I lost control.
And while we're in here, I want to encourage everyone who is in Zoom and everyone who is in the live stream at YouTube, if you want to ask your questions, submit your questions right here in the text box, in the chat box, and I'll go ahead and bring those over to Ben.
So how do I get back control back? I don't know.
Just click once on that, click once right where your cursor is, and then try the arrows. You're good.
Okay, all right. So, so this is the update on cryonics-related research funded by BRLS. So I'm Director of Research Oversight for the Biomedical Research and Longevity Society, which is formerly called Life Extension Foundation. And BRLS currently spends $8 to $9 million funding cryonics-related research, more than any other single funding source. So Rudy Goya is one of the people we've been funding. He's used nematode burns to experiment with the effects of cryoprotectant agents and aldehydes. And he's used magnetic nanoparticles to increase the survival of these nematodes warmed for cryogenic temperatures from 33% to 100%. And at the University of Minnesota used nanoparticles, metallic nanoparticles, to achieve complete viability and functionality of rat kidneys. And Dr. Goy's plan for 2025 is to use magnetic nanoparticles to rewarm a vitrified mouse heart, indicating the possibility of this technology for preservation of transplantable hearts for humans. So there's also the bio, there's also biostasis technology headed by Ashwin DeWolf. The purpose is to develop the technology for standards for cryonics procedures, full-time case review and analysis, scientific and clinical advice, education, training, assistance, and creation of cryonics capabilities. So we're talking about SST. When cryonics patients die, cryonics team comes to stand by the patient's bedside, wait for the patients to die. That's called standby. After the patient's been declared dead by a medical professional, they begin cooling, chest compression, artificial ventilation, administration of medication to address metabolism. We call that stabilization. And once the patient has been stabilized, the patient is transported ice or dry ice to the cryonics organization located in another state or country. That's transport, SST. So faster cooling is better. Ischemia is tissue damage due to lack of blood circulation. Faster cryonics patient can be cooled, the less ischemia damages tissues. Cooling in ice bath is faster than cooling with ice bags, and cooling with circulating cold water is faster. So that's showing a squid circulating the cold water in an ice bath. So it shows the difference of a difference between these different cooling methods. So internal cooling is faster than external cooling. If you can cool the patient with cold fluid and blood vessels, but it requires surgical access to blood vessels, which creates time and requires standby sturgeon. Cooling with liquid VS mixture through the lungs can be potentially done rapidly and without requiring surgery. So this shows internal cooling requiring surgery, and liquid ventilation, flushing with cold liquid for fluorocarbon saline through the lungs, avoids the time spent doing surgery. And this shows the potential difference with the line on the left side of the chart, indicating how much faster liquid ventilation could cool to 6 degrees Celsius, which cools 6 degrees Celsius. And Charles Platt has built an automatic liquid ventilation device for biostasis technologies that can be used in cryonic cases, but he's also built more portable ice baths. Considering the ice baths, he's got these, this is a design of one of his ice baths, which anyway, that shows the actual picture of the foldable ice bath, much more foldable, easily assembled than previous ice baths. So Ashwin DeWolf and Mike Perry have developed this SMEX quantification standard for ischemic exposure. Perfect SMEX would be 0 minutes of ischemia. So anything above 0 for an SMEX is bad news, and as the number gets higher, it's even worse news. And Ashwin Wolf has applied the SMEX standard to all cryonics patients at Alcor, and I guess Mike Perry helped with that. He determined the best SMEX scores were for local patients in Arizona, where Alcor is located, rather than flying to deploy, team flown to location of the patient, and doing SST at the location of the patient. So this is the liquid ventilation device we've got from Charles Platt. Theoretically, we have an SMIX of 0.22, which would be very good. And so anyway, and that's a picture of this, Charles's liquid ventilation device. It's been fully automated, use of dummies and cadavers to validate the liquid ventilation device is proved to be not feasible. Agreements have been made with the Cryonics Institute to provide free SST services to a Eternal Cryonics Institute member who's not arranged for SST but is willing to be a test subject for liquid ventilation. So Biostasis Technologies plans for 2025. They'll host a major cryonics conference in Paris, France. They'll be conducting trainings in Paris, New York City, and Calgary. We'll publish an introduction to cryonics book written by Max Moore. We'll work with tomorrow Biostasis for coverage in USA, Canada, and Mexico, including aldehyde stabilized cryopreservation for selected cases. And we'll complete a whole body cryogenic cooling box for shipping. So another organization we're funding is Resurgent Biomedical, and also we've been funding suspended animation for many years. And they both, RBS and SA, both have the same chief executive officer, Houston Westfall. So suspended animation based in Southern California, and it offers SST services to Alcor and the Cryonics Institute in the continental USA. It's based on a fly and deploy model in which the SA team flies to the location of the patient, provides SST, which includes washing the blood out with an organ preservation solution and shipping the patient to a cryonics organization for perfusion with vitrification solution. RBS is in South Florida, basically, branches in New York City and California. SST includes perfusing the patient with vitrification solution and shipping the patient at dry ice to a cryonics organization. RBS is operating in the SA facility in Boynton Beach, Florida. Both FA and RBS employ perfusion.com for surgery and perfusion. RBS may employ the flying deploy model for locations other than South Florida and branches. Currently has a contract to provide services to Biostasis patients in the United States, as negotiating with Cryonics Institute providing vitrification perfusion and shipment and dry ice costing about $15,000 to $20,000 more than the suspended animation services. And these are some of the employees. And long term, they want to create a hospice advanced anti-aging medical treatment center. The biggest recipient of BRLS funds is 21st Century Medicine in California. Chief executive officer Greg Fay. It's got 21 employees, including MDs and PhDs. The main aim is to perfuse a rabbit kidney vitrification solution, cool the kidney to cryogenic temperatures, rewarm the kidney, and then transplant to a living rabbit with full function. Aim is to achieve similar results of pig kidney, and Fake kidneys are comparable in size to human kidneys, so that would be the next step to applying this procedure to human kidneys if it could be developed. The human kidney is the most transplanted organ. So just to review what vitrification is, quartz and sand are forms of crystal forms of silicon dioxide, not glass. But if you add soda and lime, it can make glass that's like windows and your containers, glasses that you drink liquids out of. A cooled syrup increases the viscosity when cooled enough to become amorphous solid like glass blowing. And vitrification by cryoprotection does not cause a mechanical or solid damage that results from ice crystal formation. The vitrification of organs means cryogenic below 100 degrees Celsius without ice formation, which could mean storage for a very, very long time before transplant. So the picture on the left shows a frozen kidney with lots of ice. It looks like an ice ball, whereas you can see through the vitrified kidney, you can see the actual kidney. It's not damaged physically by ice, but there is a problem with being vitrified. With the vitrification solutions are cryoprotectant. So these are some of the vitrification solutions, but they can be toxic, as I mentioned. So if cryoprotectant toxicity could be substantially reduced, transplantable human organs would be stored at low temperature. Cryonic patients would be easily preserved at cryogenic temperatures without ice formation. The challenge of preserving tissues and organs with cryoprotective agents is to use enough CPA to prevent ice formation, but not so much as to cause damage by cryoprotectant toxicity. If CPA toxicity does not exist, CPAs could be used in larger quantities without worrying of ice formation or cooling or rewarming. So achieving cryonic storage of transplantable kidneys has been the life work of Greg Fay at 21st century even before working at 21st century. Kidneys are the most transplanted human organ, but demand is greater than supply, and most kidney transplant recipients die waiting. Being able to vitrify and store human organs at cryogenic temperatures would be great medical need and be a proven principle of cryonics. This breakthrough would attract huge amounts of commercial funding and cryonics-related research. Vitrifying rabbit kidneys is the first step to human kidney. So as I mentioned before, a rat kidney has also been vitrified in Minnesota, but a rat kidney is only about 1/20th the size of a rabbit kidney, which is in turn much smaller than a human kidney or pig kidney. So they've actually successfully vitrified a rabbit kidney. Is still alive and well, but the procedure hasn't been replicated. They've got new methods for reducing cryoprotectant toxicity. Treatment of hydrogen peroxide can induce heat shock proteins and show to improve rapid kidney survival and rapid survival with their kidneys, with transplanted kidneys. These new agents, they've found some new agents to be less toxic than the existing CPAs. They're currently very expensive and not available in sufficient qualities. Greg Fay said he was applying for a patent for these new CPAs in December, so I assume that's what he did. The combination of new CPAs with peroxide pretreatment could eliminate CPA toxicity. Another employee at 21st Century Medicine is working on rabbit brains, Ralph Spindler, and he's using a detergent to open the blood-brain barrier and allow M22 to cross into the brain. And these full washout shows pale areas, and they're using anyway. They're showing some success with this. Different concentrations of osmolate and detergent can allow for complete unloading and unloading of M22 with minimal pale areas, but this research is still ongoing. And the next step in 2025 will be to do not just showing electron micrograph preservation of brains, but showing electroencephalography, EEG in brains, a better measure of preservation and ultrastructure. Rabbits washed out with the M22 show increasing EEG activity with passage of hours, called healing. So another project at 21st Century Medicine has been intermediate temperature storage. They built these large vats for tomorrow biostasis, and reportedly they were going to be finished by December, and I hope that's what has happened. And for 2025, they plan to scale up the organ preservation procedures from rabbit kidneys and pig kidneys, and to demonstrate functional EEG in rabbit brains. And as I say, Dr. Fay was applying for a patent. And Alexander Stolzik will be, in 2025, will be working at 21st Century, and she's received a grant from BRS to form a separate company. We'll be working within 21st Century, and she will maintain pig brains in a controlled environment outside of pig bodies with pumps, filters, and nutrients. This environment will allow for faster perfusion of cryoprotectants, allowing for studying the effects of blood substitutes, and allow for developments for reducing ischemic damage as well as ischemic damage repair. And she'll be working with, in collaboration with 21st Century Medicine, using 21st Century pigs. So advanced neurobiosciences is an important organ, with Chief Executive Officer Ashton DeWolf, who's actually living in New York City to run biostasis technologies, but he periodically travels to Portland and directs the research from New York City. It has a well-equipped lab, advanced neurobiosciences, and Susan Diasens is skilled in rat microsurgery. She also directs, is the on-site director of the project there. And VM1 is used by cryonics Institute tomorrow biostasis, whereas M22 is used by Alcor for vitrification solution perfusion. M22 is optimized for rabbit kidney select cryoprotection, whereas VM1 was optimized for rapid brain hippocampus by Cryonics Institute Research Director Dr. Europechugan. AMB is researching the properties of cryoprotecting VM1 with results to be published in a peer-reviewed journal in 2025. The 21st M22 has multiple peer-reviewed journal publications, but VM1 has so far had none. M22 is very expensive, whereas VM1 is not expensive. VM1 is being tested for stability in dry ice after 2 weeks of storage, and for its intended use in field cryoprotection prior to shipment in dry ice to a cryonics organization. AMB is also studying modifications to VM1 to reduce edema, as well as modifications of VM1 after chemical fixation. So in 2025, AMB will develop an isolated rat head model for studying EEG, similar to what Alexander will be doing at 21st Century with pigs. This model will avoid problems with liver enzymes and electrical signals from the heart. Different CBAs and ischemic protocol modification protocols can be used, and an A and B employee will go to 21st Century Medicine to learn about isolated big brain model from Dr. Stolze and about EEG model in rabbit brain with Dr. Spindler. So any questions about this section or the previous section? No questions?
Neil, are you going to present the questions that I submitted?
Can you repeat your question?
I'm sorry, can you hear me, Ben?
Yeah,
I'd submitted them via the chat, but I can,
yeah, I don't want to have to go to chat. Well, I go to chat.
okay,
But
well,
tell
no
me your
problem.
question.
I just didn't know if anybody on the rest of the stream could hear me, but one of the questions that I have is that I have long COVID, and it's now been about 4 years, and I'm in a support group with a bunch of other people that have long COVID. And you had mentioned about 12 weeks, I think, as the outside limit, and I didn't know if that was just when the spike protein was still extant.
That's the acute phase of 12
That's the
weeks
acute phase.
is the acute phase. Anything past 12 weeks is definitely long COVID.
Got it. And then the second question I had was I on nattokinase, but also the life extension has a supplement, and there's another supplement from other areas that also has serrapeptase and also pycnogenol. And you didn't mention either of those two things. I wondered if you had any comment about either of
Well,
those.
I didn't mention curcumin with the pepper, and there's a bunch of other possible treatments, which I probably haven't mentioned, but I think nattokinase is the star of the show.
Got it. And then finally, I was in
Although I
part.
will say, I didn't mention about nattokinase. Nattokinase, it doesn't, you can eat the nattokinase, and it resists the acids in the stomach and can be absorbed in the bloodstream, but it remains in the bloodstream. It can't enter cells. So, but it can do a lot of other things, as to say, it can reduce atherosclerosis plaques by being in the bloodstream, as well as any spike proteins that happen to be in the bloodstream. But it can't get into the cells to kill to get the spike proteins that are in the cells. But spike proteins cause cells to die, and I guess the replacement cells would not have the spike proteins in them, especially if you can clear the spike proteins from the bloodstream with the nattokinase.
Well, the reason that I'm on it is I was in a study, and they found that virtually all of us with long COVID have microclots with a high amount, I guess, of fibrin or something that's hard to break down. And
Yeah,
so that's why they put me on nattokinase. Sorry?
nattokinase should help with that.
Right, and that's why they put me on that. But do you think it's better to take the supplement or the type that where you're eating it as you are, or does it not make any difference? I mean, I take it in a capsule. Is that better or worse? Does it matter?
I prefer the eating it directly. I'm taking too many capsules as it is.
But do you prefer it because you prefer it?
I haven't seen a study quantifying the difference.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And the last thing actually is that when you talk about long COVID, you didn't talk about the microclots and the possibility that it's, doesn't allow blood flow to small capillaries, which is what this study that I was in.
I think I may have gone too fast, but it was mentioned.
I apologize that I missed that. Thank you.
Any other questions?
That's all I see. Let's move along. Thank you, Ben. So I do want to ask people in the live stream at YouTube, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box, and right here in Zoom, you can do the same. Okay, let's bring back Ben's presentation.
I guess we want to bring back Rudy because this is the social hour, right?
Oh, okay. Yes, actually, let's close out tonight. Thank you, Ben. Let me just ask one more time for questions on any of the presentation that Ben has given us. Are there any questions for Ben? I think that's fair to ask at this time, Ben. Any questions at all? Well, the floor is open for all questions. Yes, looks like Stephen, do you have a question?
Mhm. My question is, how many people with Alzheimer's have been cryopreserved?
That's, I don't know the answer to that question.
It's a good question, but also, Ben, I don't think anyone has the stats on that. Keeping in mind many people who have been put into biostasis, into cryopreservation, they're private about it. And not only are they private about their names and their identities and the details, many of the details, even about public people, are considered private. So that information is probably not available, even if you talk to
Yes,
the
yes,
current.
how many? I mean, I've known of specific cases, but
Sure.
like
Yes. It is a super relevant question, I believe.
well, maybe Mike Perry is online. He could give his.
Well,
I don't see
sure.
him.
No,
Mike,
he's here.
You still with
Yeah,
us, Mike?
Mike's with us. Mike Perry, if you have anything to comment on
Or
that
even
question.
maybe Joe
May have
Kowalski might
stepped
know.
away. Yeah, I know that we have statistics on like AIDS patients or COVID patients or whatever. We obviously take that information. I don't know it off the top of my head. If somebody wants to contact me directly, I could tell you what Cryonics Institute, what information Cryonics Institute has on the various patients in general.
So to
You
reach,
want to contact me, you can reach me at cryoprise@gmail.com. Cryoprise@gmail.com. Feel
perfect.
free to contact me.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks. That's great. Cryoprize dude. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
The reason I think that's an especially relevant question is that I do know of some people who had a cognitive / physical progressive disease who chose to do a assisted suicide for the purpose of cryopreservation, which is a different topic, but certainly potentially relevant topic.
Yes.
I promise you, if I all of a sudden would develop Alzheimer's before my brain turned to soup, I would be taking some action. And I think that is not an unreasonable thing for us to discuss. And at some point, I'm not sure if this is, this public venue is exactly perfect for that, but it is
I
something.
think it is, Rudy. I think it
Okay.
absolutely is.
It's a great topic, but I do have to jump in on this since we talked about Cryonics Institute a moment ago and just mention that Cryonics Institute does not in any way support that or assist in any way with that. We have absolutely nothing to do with that. Yeah.
That's a good point, Joe. So we have Ben Best, the past CEO and president of Cryonics Institute, and we've got others here who are with Cryonics Institute. And of course, this is an event from the Church of Perpetual Life. So it's a public event that we can talk about a lot of stuff.
And to your point, Jay,
Thomas and Donaldson famously sued the state of California or petitioned the state of California to allow because to have himself cryopreserved before too much damage was done to his brain. But the state of California denied his suit, and he lost the case.
Yes, which is, and I took a trip. I flew up to Michigan. Jay, you'll be interested in this, to talk with Robert Edinger when he was in a wheelchair, and it was clearly going downhill pretty rapidly. And I went to his little house. David, his son, was there, just David and he and I. And basically, I was there for him to ask if he would do a public request / lawsuit to enable assisted suicide for cryopreservation. I thought Edinger would be the perfect guy for that because he obviously had such a strong background as a cryonicist, as a founder of cryonics in essence. And to his credit, he said no. He said that's a good idea, Rudy, but that's just too risky. It could risk the arrangements that I've had. And but I thought I've always been kind of proud of the fact that I did make the trip up there to ask him about that. I do think it's important. And at one time I had a person ready to write $1 million check theoretically to fund that lawsuit, and I had a person who had not Alzheimer's, but what is it? Causes you to shake.
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's, progressive Parkinson's, and we were gonna try to do that as a lawsuit, and then his brother talked him out of that.
Yeah, well, what?
Let me time out everybody here just for a second. We didn't actually go into the social hour, which is where we are.
Sorry about that.
So we're still live streaming. We're still public, and we're in the YouTube live stream. Ben, you have given us your presentation tonight. Let me close out our actual formal event, but I hope everybody stays because there's a lot of important stuff to chat about. Ben, was there anything else on your mind? Anything else you wanted to say, Ben?
No, I haven't got anything further to say.
A very comprehensive presentation, Ben. Thank you.
Yes. So Ben, thank you so much. And not just for this one, but all the past ones. This is our 10th year. So this is sort of a special anniversary. If I was there in person, you'd probably be getting balloons or flowers by now. If anyone is interested in cryonics for yourself or for someone that you love, please contact me or Rudy or Doug or any of the members here at the Church of Perpetual Life for more information about cryonics. If you're watching this as a recording, you can email me at Neal, that's Neal, at churchofperpetuallife.org, Neal at churchofperpetuallife.org, and send me your questions or comments. I hope that you'll be able to come and see us again this month later and every month as we are meeting at the last Thursday of the month in person and online. And hope that you have a super perfect year here now in 2025. Thanks for coming to the Church of Perpetual Life special event, the celebration of James Bedford Day.
Yay, good Bedford Day. Bravo. Happy Bedford Day, everyone. Sorry, it's supposed to be quiet.
Dream tonight. Future that will make it right. Ending aging, ending pain. Life forever we will gain. We're immortalists, we see hope. Living longer is our scope. In the future, hold on tight. Science leads us into light. We believe in a world so grand. Disease and death will leave this land. Tech will conquer all we see. Join us in immortality. Problems solved by minds so bright. Breaking through the darkest night. History shows we can achieve. With faith in tech, we believe. Aging fades and youth returns. Future grows and passion burns. Impressive strides will make our way. Immortal life begins today. Time won't stop us marching on. In this race we've just begun. Watch us live, watch us thrive. In this dream we come alive. We're immortalists, we see hope. Living longer is our scope. In the future, hold on tight. Science leads us into light. We believe in a world so bad. Disease and death will leave this land. Tech will conquer all we see. Join us in immortality. We believe in a world so bad. Disease and death will leave this land. Tech will conquer all we see. Join us in immortality. Join us in immortality. Join us in immortality. reality. Problem solved by mind